Real Virginia is proudly produced by the Virginia Farm Bureau Federation. For almost a century, Farm Bureau has been a friend of the farm for all Virginians. Visit our website at vafb.com.
Hello everyone, and welcome to Real Virginia, a show about Virginia agriculture and the people who produce the wonderful local products we enjoy. Brought to you by the Virginia Farm Bureau. Here's what's coming up on this week's show. Virginia sparkling wines are a great way to celebrate the new year. Chef Tammy has a holiday duck recipe your guests will love. And we bathe in the glory of Bath County in this month's County Agricultural Close-Up.
Home will always be Virginia, between the Blue Ridge and Chesapeake Bay, Atlantic to Appalachia, home in my heart always.
Welcome back to Real Virginia, everyone. We're coming to you this week from King Family Vineyards in Albemarle County, one of several places in Virginia that produces sparkling wine, from the grape to the glass. 2025 will be here before we know it, and for generations, sparkling wine has been the way to ring in the new year. It just tastes like it took longer to produce, and that's because it does. George Hogston operates one of the premier sparkling wine facilities in the Old Dominion.
We touch a bottle 11 different times in order to get it prepared to be enjoyed. And so ultimately, when we come to New Year's, when we come to the holidays, people want to have something special.
Hogston's operation produces sparkling wine for other Virginia wineries who don't have the expensive equipment needed to make it. But for those who are in the game, Virginia has some advantages for growing the kind of grapes that produce the best sparkling wines.
One of the things is we have some cooler areas to grow some grapes, and we can use some aspects of our land and our mountains to have cooler afternoons and evenings, and that allows us to maintain acid. And so holding on to acid in our white fruit is one of the things that allows sparkling wine to be good.
The journey to a flute begins with picking white wine grapes early. While a traditional bottle of Chardonnay might be the product of grapes picked in the fall, sparkling wine growers pick their grapes in August. This helps keep the acidity necessary for the bubbles that create the sparkle in sparkling wine. Mathieu Finot grew up on a farm in France. In 2003, he moved to Virginia, where he runs the sparkling wine facility at King Family Vineyards in Albemarle County. While giving a tour of the facility, he showed how sugar and yeast are added during a second fermentation.
The second fermentation is going to happen in the bottle. In fact, we had exactly 24 grams per liters of sugar, and that will create 6 atmosphere of pressure, so 6 bar of pressure inside the bottle. So it's like very, there's a lot of pressure inside, ready to pop.
The bottles are then put in cages and tipped down over 4 days, allowing the sediment to collect in the bottleneck for at least 1 year, and in some cases, many more years. The final step is to disgorge the sediment from the bottle, which happens here in the back of this crowded freezer truck.
The sediment's always sedimented here inside the bottle. We're gonna get the bottle here inside of baths of glycol, and it's just gonna freeze just the neck. So now, right here, I've got a plug of ice, and that's what we're gonna remove. So then the bottle goes on the belt here.
The bottle is then taken down the conveyor belt to this cleansing station. It goes through more cleansing before it's labeled and ready for the cork. In addition to being a working vineyard, the King family also has a large agritourism component where visitors can take in their tasting room or bask in the spectacular outdoor views. It's also home to Roseland Polo and has a large field dedicated to the sport. During the pandemic, agritourism attractions like vineyards thrived in Virginia. While there aren't as many visitors to wineries as a few years ago, wine tourism remains strong in the state. And for many, Virginia wines are a sweet spot between European and West Coast blends.
When you talk about Virginia wines, we both literally and stylistically are midway between the California style of wine and the European style of wine. And so you find that we're like a happy medium in terms of the acidity, the sugar levels of the wines. We are a little more fruit forward than our European counterparts, and we're a little not quite as high in alcohol as our cousins on the West Coast.
Virginia sparkling wines are a great way to celebrate an important occasion. Just don't call it champagne. Only sparkling wines produced in that region of France can be called that. You may not be able to call it champagne, but you can call it very good. In Albemarle County, I'm Burke Muller reporting.
The very first Jamestown colonists attempted to grow wine grapes in 1609, and founding fathers like Thomas Jefferson and George Washington took a shot at producing wine in the late 1700s. But disease, insects, and Virginia's humid climate all led to crop failures each time. In the late 1960s, several European-trained winemakers tried again and succeeded. Today, Virginia is the 6th largest state in the U.S. for wineries, and Virginia wines have won national and international awards for quality. And it's easy to visit a Virginia winery and taste their products on site, making it a valuable agritourism industry as well.
Hi, today we're going to be talking about an affordable way to grow your garden from the ground up. Please stay tuned.
Farming is a rewarding way of life, but it can also be full of challenges. If you or someone you know is struggling, call or text the AgriStress helpline at 833-897-2473. It offers 24/7 access to professionals who can support someone in need and help find mental health services in your community. Please make the call, because healthy farms depend on healthy farm families. That's 833-897-2474.
Thinking ahead to next year's garden? Chris Mullins with Virginia Cooperative Extension shows us one expert who boosts his plant production and saves money from the ground up.
Well, hello and welcome. Today we're in Flint Hill, Virginia. We're with Jim Hankins. Jim's the executive director of a educational farm, but today we're at your place and we're talking about you've got a great patio garden. But we really want to find out how to take some of these plants and make other plants. Really propagation, right?
You know, one of the first things you want to do when you get a good plant is split it and make it into more plants. You know, like these bananas. I am a sucker for suckers. You know, I bought these two specific bananas at a cheap big box store. And I bought these two in particular because they just had clusters of little babies. This will be insane. There are 12 banana stems in this pot. Oh, wow. So I want to cut one and to start a new pot to give to a good friend.
Okay.
You know, and it is really just as easy. This particular banana plant is off away from its parent. I'm going to take a knife and go down there, and you're just cutting it from its parent. Trying to get down there and get some roots with it.
Okay.
And we'll put, here, if you can hold that one, we can put that in a flower pot and give it a little bit of tender love and care, and it'll turn into a 6-foot tall banana plant.
Let's see that in a minute, yeah. What else you got?
Wild, you know, coleus. Coleus is just a wonderful, wonderful plant. They are so, they want to root.
Okay.
So I take cuttings, and literally the day I bought this one, I cut the top of it off and stuck it into this pot. I did not stick it into water. I did not try to grow roots on it. I trimmed off some leaves and I stuck it in the pot and gave it some water, and it turned into a great plant. Okay. Let me take a couple cuttings off of this and I'll show you what we're doing.
Oh, it's easy.
Yep. And I'll show you how to trim these up and get them in a pot.
All right, Jim, you just cut this. What do you do now?
Oh, it's just stupidly easy. I'll let you do it.
Okay.
So I'm going to make, you know, I've got really good quality potting soil. So you make a good, big, deep hole. You know, you want to get that seedling down in there a good ways. And then push some soil up around it and keep it good and very moist for the next week or so. Okay. And it will, you know, it will wilt for a little bit and then it will recover. And once it starts adding new growth, you know you've got a good root system. This is one that I did maybe a week ago.
Okay.
And you know, it's ready now that it's going to start really growing quickly.
Yeah.
It lost a couple leaves.
Right.
But, you know, as soon as it starts really sending up new growth, you know it's got a good root system, and you can put it into a bigger pot. And again, these bananas, they can be 6 feet tall this year.
Now the coleus was a little different. You just snipped those, right?
The coleus are just so easy. You know, I cut the bottom leaves off. Again, I'm trying to start a new plant. I know this soil is really loose. I could just jab it down in there, but why not be kind to the plant? I make a good deep hole with a knife so that I'm placing that stem in there and then pushing the soil up. I'm not using the stem to make the hole.
Okay.
And you know, I have had coleus. I'm cutting off some little side shoots. I have planted these little side shoots.
Wow. Wow.
They grow slowly, but they will root.
Okay.
You know, and it can turn into a great big plant.
So this is a great way to really extend the amount that you paid and get more plants for your buck.
Whenever I'm buying coleus in particular, I want the tall ones because I know as soon as I get it home, I'm going to have 2 plants.
Very good, very good. Well, these are some great ones. It seem like they root pretty easily.
Oh, extremely easily.
Some plants do, some don't, right?
Yes, yeah. And just getting to know, asking at a garden center, asking, you know, asking your big plant nuts what roots really easily. Okay. And then once you've learned it, it's, you know, the sky's the limit.
Well, great. Thank you for the tips. This is really interesting.
Absolutely.
Well, for more information about propagating your plants, contact your local county extension office and talk to a master gardener. For From the Ground Up, I'm Chris Mullins. We'll see you next time.
From the Ground Up is presented with the generous advice and assistance of Virginia Cooperative Extension. Visit their website at ext.vt.edu.
Hi, I'm Chef Tammy Brawley from the Green Kitchen. Coming up on Heart of the Home, duck breast with a coconut curry pan sauce. We hope you'll stay with us.
Southwest Virginia farmers are cleaning up after high winds and flooding from Hurricane Helene caused more than $159 million in damage to fences, pastures, roads, timberland, and livestock. While donated hay is coming in from other parts of the state, cash assistance is needed as well. The Virginia Farm Relief Fund has been established to help direct aid to farm families in need. You can donate or request financial assistance at vafairs.com/Virginia Farm Relief Fund.
Holiday dinners call for special dishes. Chef Tammy Brawley shows us how to prepare a spice-crusted duck breast paired with a Virginia wine from the Heart of the Home.
Hi, I'm Tammy Brawley from the Green Kitchen, and welcome to Heart of the Home. Today I'm going to show you a delicious duck breast recipe. I've done this now a few times and I love doing this. It's a coconut curry pan sauce. We start out by toasting whole spices. I cannot stress enough how great it is to do your own whole spices. In my pan here I have got some cinnamon, some coriander, I didn't have any cumin seeds, but I had ground cumin. I went in and added that. And then I've got fennel seeds in here as well, and some poppy seeds if I'm not mistaken. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to move it over to a spice grinder. These are technically coffee bean grinders. I use them for spices. They're great for everything. You want to grind it. The good thing about it is once you do a spice in it, you can actually come back and clean the grinder with white rice, dry white rice, and then it's ready to go for your coffee beans or your next round of spices. So we've put our whole spices in there. We're going to grind this up. Wonderful. So we've got a nice spice mix here, and we're going to go ahead and add just a couple of drops of coconut oil to it to kind of give it a little pasty sort of mixture. And mix that over with a spoon. A few more drops there. So I've got a nice little paste here. Now we're going to come back to our duck breast. Now, a duck breast typically has a layer of fat on it, and trust me, you want to keep that on there for several reasons. One, you want it to render its own fat when you cook it, but duck, as you know, are mostly in cold waters, so they have this nice thick layer of fat to keep them warm. I love working with the duck breast. You want to come back with the skin side up, and you want to score it. Don't cut all the way down to the meat. We want to make kind of a triangular pattern here, right through the fat. And we're going to come back also in the opposite direction, kind of a crisscross sort of hatch pattern. I'm going to come over and turn my heat on. I want a fairly high temperature there. Not quite high, but I'm using my biggest burner, so I'm going to go down to about a medium high. What you may notice is I have no fat in that pan, and that is very true. We are going to use the duck fat to let that render. So while our pan is warming up, I'm going to come back to the duck breast. I'm going to take that delicious spice paste mixture that I've made, and I'm going to coat the duck. I'm going to coat the fat side. I'm going to turn it over, and I'm going to do the other side as well. So once our pan is ready, we're going to put our duck in. We're going to put it in fat side down because we want that to render that nice, beautiful fat that's on top. All right, so it's gone about 15 minutes or so. We're going to turn it over. We're going to let that go for about another minute or so. Yes, it is nice and dark, and that's perfectly fine. Then after it seasons on the other side for about 2 minutes or so, we're going to pull it off and let it rest, and we're going to make a delicious pan sauce. Now, the thing about cooking with fats like this, particularly on the animal, is, you know, a lot of people think, ooh, it's a lot of fat, I really don't want to eat it. Well, you don't have to eat it. You really should cook with it on there because it gives it that flavor, but you can certainly cut that fat off before you eat it. So I'm going to go ahead and let this rest now. And what I want you to remember is that we had no fat at the beginning of this recipe, and that's how much duck fat that rendered. I'm going to pour it off into a bowl to let it cool, leaving just a little bit on the bottom of the pan. And now I'm going to come back and I'm actually going to add some chicken stock to that to deglaze it. Deglazing just basically means that you are getting those delicious bits of goodness off the bottom of the pan. I'm going to go ahead and add some spices to that. I have some grated ginger, some turmeric, and some cayenne pepper. I just wanted you to see, too, this is fresh ginger when you buy it in the stores and things, in the farmers markets, and you can use a microplane grater to grate it. So I have got about a tablespoon or so of ginger in here. I'm going to go ahead and add that to our sauce. And sometimes we can add the spices before we deglaze with the chicken stock. That's totally fine if you do that. But we're going to go ahead and bring that up to a boil. I have made this recipe before, and I've actually saved the duck fat and strained it and made duck fat French fries. Really, really good. So that's going to come to a boil, and then we're going to add some coconut milk and finish it off with some lime juice. The chicken stock that we deglazed with and the spices have thickened up a little bit. We're going to come back and add some coconut milk. I like adding cold things or room temperature things to a hot pan a little bit at a time. Helps blend it that much better. All right, we're going to let that go ahead and come to a boil. We're going to come back to our duck. We're going to go ahead and cut that. Nice, beautiful pink. A little medium rare to rare. All right, so when you're cutting the duck breast, if it is too rare or raw technically, just remember that you can always come back to another fresh pan that you've got nice and hot, and you can sear off the pieces there and make it a little bit more done. We have our delicious coconut pan sauce over here waiting. Let's squeeze some lime juice into this sauce to actually finish it off. If it is a little spicy, the lime juice will certainly help cut that spice. And if you're not much of a spice fan, you can certainly cut back on the amount of chili powder and the spices there at the beginning that we ground in the spice grinder. I am a big spice fan, so I love using it, but I know some people are not of the same taste buds. All right, so we're pouring that delicious coconut curry pan sauce over our pan-roasted duck. And if you want to take this to the next level, I highly recommend a nice Virginia wine to go along with this. We have a Riesling Traminette blend here. Riesling pairs very well with spicy foods, such as what we have here on the duck. I'm going to go enjoy this. And there you have it. I'm Tammy Brawley with the Green Kitchen. This is duck breast with a coconut curry pan sauce. Join us next time on Heart of the Home.
Recipes from the Heart of the Home can be found on the Virginia Farm Bureau website at vafb.com/recipes, as well as on Chef Tammy Brawley's website at greenkitchenrichmond.com.
Virginia is one of the top broiler chicken and turkey producing states in the nation, but Virginia farmers also raise a number of more unusual fowl. According to the 2022 Census of Agriculture, more than 10,300 ducks were raised on 911 Virginia farms that year. Almost 4,000 geese were raised on 363 farms. More than 28,000 quail were raised on 116 farms. More than 300 ebus were raised, and 52 ostriches were also produced. Some backyard poultry producers raise rare breeds solely to sell their eggs to other heritage breed enthusiasts.
Bath County may be Virginia's second least populated community, but as Elijah Griles shows us in this month's County Agricultural Close-Up, the farm economy plays an important role.
Famous for its hot mineral springs, Bath County sits in the Allegheny Mountains of Western Virginia. Agriculture and forestry are vital to the county's economy, as abundant forest land gives way to mountain pastures teeming with sheep and cattle. The valleys below are home to heirloom cider production and agritourism adventures.
John Cowden and his family operate Fort Lewis Lodge and Farm, which showcases the county's unique intersection of agriculture and tourism.
We got into Fort Lewis Lodge years ago because we were solely in the cattle business, and that's back, for those of you old enough to know, when you sold steers and heifers at the 60 and 70 cent range, where now my son has joined me and is used to $2 plus prices, but they're two different worlds. So back then, so what else can we do? And we decided our property, one of the significant values was its natural beauty. And with that, we had the opportunity to restore an old grist mill. We went on to build a guest lodge, and as the years rolled by, we added log cabins and guest cottages and renovated a house, and that grew and grew.
While farming serves mainly as a backdrop for their guests, Cowden and his son raise more than 200 head of Angus cattle.
It's a brood cow herd. We have spring and fall calving, probably 2/3 is fall calving, maybe some 80, 85 cows in the fall group, and the balance up to 132 cows are spring.
In addition to cows, the Cowpasture River runs through the Cowden's farm and offers lodge guests scenic views, summertime swimming, and trout fishing. On the other side of Warm Springs Mountain, Will and Cornelia Hodges are renewing their family farm by crafting a product uncommon to the county.
After many years working in the wine industry, I kept thinking about what could we do in my home here in Bath. And although vines potentially are a noble quest, I didn't feel that that was the most practical form of cultivation for a beverage here in our location, where, on the other hand, apples thrive wild.
Creating the cider was just one of the challenges for the Hodges. They also needed customers. With just more than 4,000 residents, Bath County is Virginia's second least populous county. It's so rural it doesn't have a stoplight or fast food franchises. But the Hodges believe they could win consumers by connecting with visitors coming to enjoy the famed mineral springs.
Here in Warm Springs Valley, obviously we're much better known for our thermal springs than, say, cider. And so a lot of visitors are coming to this area for therapeutic retreat and to take the waters. And so it's not uncommon for somebody on a Saturday to be coming from the pools or going to the pools after visiting us. So it's kind of a beautiful one-in-one.
The Warm Springs pools are just 1.5 miles from Troddenvale Cider and feature 2 spas where visitors can enjoy the mineral waters that flow year-round at a constant temperature of 98 degrees Fahrenheit. According to the latest Census of Agriculture, there are 88 farms in Bath County, covering 34,634 acres. The market value of all agricultural products is $6.4 million. Livestock earn the most, with $4.3 million. Of that, cattle deliver $1.3 million, with sheep and other animals taking the balance. Crops account for $2.1 million. Almost 90% of Bath County is woodland, and logger Tracy Martin focuses on stewardship as he cuts timber for landowners.
We sell the big stuff for saw logs, goes to various different mills, depending on the species. The good stick of pulpwood is what they make paper with. We'll haul it to Smurfit West Rock, and they debark it and chip it into clean chips. And that's where they make their paper. Then the brush and the limbs go into the chipper, our chipper, to make biomass for power. So we kind of use everything that we cut the tree down, the whole tree is being used.
While forested mountains dominate the landscape, Bath County Extension Agent Carrie Spinagle says that high elevation pastures provide unique grazing opportunities.
Well, as you know, we are further up in the mountains. Our elevation is higher than a lot of the state. We can do a lot of really good finishing here, especially with our cooler temperatures. So especially in the summertime, we have a lot of grazers that like to come out and enjoy the cooler summers. So our rate of gain on our livestock is a good bit better than it is on the eastern part of the state, where a lot of things are a lot warmer.
Extension Program educator Jordan Alexander says there are also new marketing opportunities.
I think Bath County has had a trend in more small farms coming into the county and finding that niche market, whether it's direct marketing with, like we said, lamb products, or we have a lot more vineyards and orchards coming into the county.
On the banks of the county's Jackson River, Ben Wilfong has found a niche in raising registered Dorset sheep for both direct-to-consumer meat and genetics.
We're the largest registered polled Dorset breeder in America, and we send sheep literally from this year. We sold sheep from California, Washington, all the way to the New England states, down to Texas, Florida, and covered most all the states in between, as well as selling retail lamb cuts. This particular area is mountainous, and some of the terrain is not accessible for crop ground. So therefore, the cattle and the sheep can graze and convert the grass into, red meat and a product that we can sell.
Visitors and locals alike are treated to delicious meats and beverages in Bath County. Abundant forest land provides sustainable lumber, paper, and power for the region, and the natural wonders of mineral springs and mountain vistas offer ample opportunity for rural relaxation. Although there may not be a stoplight, visitors will want to stay a while. Reporting from Bath County, Virginia, I'm Elijah Griles.
We're so glad you could join us to celebrate all the bounty Virginia has to offer. From the kitchen to your home and garden to our beautiful wide open spaces, we're proud to say that this is real Virginia. For everyone from the Virginia Farm Bureau, thanks for watching. Make it a great week.
Home will always be Virginia, between the Blue Ridge and Chesapeake Bay.